Hey, welcome back to the Nets Unbiased Views. They're fast, they're furious. Topics to be covered today. Just one. Finally, the saga has come into an end. Mesut Ozil with me is Elroy. Hey, Elroy, welcome back.
Hey, Kayur, been a long time since we caught up, and I think this is the right topic to for us to catch up again and discuss whatever we need in terms of this topic for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. So, 7.5 years, tons of
Yes.
assists, tons of goals, tons of happy fans, many more unhappy fans.
Yeah.
But finally, the man who was supposed to bring in the change to this Arsenal team, Arsene Wenger's first big buy
Yeah.
in the Emirates era, is finally moving away from Arsenal. So, what is your
Yes.
take about it?
So basically, people tend to divide Mesut Ozil's Arsenal career into two parts. That is the pre-contract and the post-contract. But I would mainly, divide it into three parts. The first part is obviously when we signed him and Ozil was in his peak form, and he was killing it in the Premier League. Like he had that some really good. The number of assists were booming, and he that is when we won the three FA Cups. So he was doing really, really well. The second part is obviously when he signed the contract, but again, he was still half a season under Wenger. And, the first half of Emery, before things started to heat up between him and Emery, he was not bad, but, he was a regular starter. There was, and that the third part is where it came out all in the open. You see, where you started to get reports wherein that Ozil cannot play in the away games. He's just not going to be selected for the away games. Then the falling out with Emery. Then Emery was forced to take him back because the team was not playing well. Then Emery gets the sack. Arteta comes in. Arteta plays him again. Then again he goes out. So for me, there are three episodes for the Ozil saga, not two. And these three ones are, you know when a player like Ozil signed, the day he signed, I still remember the day he signed. I was in college that year, and his signing was announced on Arsenal.com at around 3:30 in the morning on September 2nd, if I'm not wrong. And that entire day, we were refreshing Twitter, we were refreshing Arsenal.com, waiting. That signing, by far, like nothing has ever topped that signing. So that man has given us a lot of memories. And it really hurts to see the way this has ended, though. It's see, I have been saying it from quite a few for a while that it had to come to an end, and I wanted it ideally to end in the summer itself, not drag on for another year. So it is neither what we wanted, like for it to end in the summer, neither is it ending in the next summer, which would have been a lot more drama. It's ending in between, not the best way, but it's the best scenario for all the parties involved, in my opinion.
So, to a certain extent, Elroy, do you think that maybe, and this is just out of the box thinking, maybe when Wenger did come into that immense pressure of Alexis and Ozil probably going out on free at the same time, and he was ready to pay Ozil whatever it took for Ozil to actually stay in the club, and they settled at the 350K a week. Do you think that for any reason, if one of them or both of them had decided to stay in, and not for this extravagant amount, but if the amount was a
Yeah.
little bit in the below 200s, this could have ended differently?
I think definitely, because at the end of the day, the salary has played a massive part. Like you see, whenever we talk about Ozil, ever since he signed the new contract, ever since we talk about him and his poor performances or anything, that 350K has always been brought up. And even I have been, and it's not, see, I wouldn't blame Ozil for the 350K. It was Arsenal's undoing. Like if Arsenal had handled the negotiations properly, especially they let two of your top players reach the final 6 months of their contract. So, and for sure that Sanchez showed no signs of wanting to stay back then. Ozil probably showed signs of staying back, and he took it with his favor. He knew that the club was also desperate, and he got a deal what he wanted. So I wouldn't blame Ozil for that. But yeah, that 350K became a tagline. You see every commentator, every press report, everything when they talk about Ozil and not playing well, the 350K is mentioned. Emery dropped Ozil for the away games. Again, they bring up the fact that 350K for Ozil and he's dropped. So that, and I mean, we might say that it doesn't affect a player, but I mean, it's definitely going to have some impact on everything, on the optics. Maybe some impact on the club. Definitely had an impact on the club because it definitely, that 350K over, let's say, the last 2 years where things were not working out, if you just take the salary away alone, you could have reinvested it in a lot of other players. But then again, I don't blame Ozil for that, but the club messed it up there. But that's what I keep coming to that point. The club should have tried their level best to end the chapter in the summer, where we would have end it on a good note that way. It's just, yeah, it has not ended well that way.
And also the other part, Elroy, is you always talk about a German mentality, a German
Yeah.
mentality. We always talk about that. And if you look at all the players historically that Germany has produced, there are there might be a handful that can actually do two roles. If your
Yes.
primary role is attack, you attack. Then you don't really care about defense. And back in the days, Germany used to have the firepower that, okay, five defenders are good enough to stop any team. They had that defense
Yes.
built. So Ozil growing up, maybe his role was to assist, his role was to attack, and he could never really
Yeah.
come back and
He
defend.
could. Yeah. Yeah.
And it
So
was a known fact. He would track back, he would just
he
jog
would.
back to show that he
Yeah.
was trying, but he would not really put in a
He would
tackle.
not.
So
Yeah.
we all know that a 50-50 target, Ozil is not going to go for it. He
Yeah.
would much rather just sit there, stroll back, and let someone else do the defense part.
Yes. Exactly.
But that has always been his case. And I mean, taking nothing away from the numbers don't lie. He has been exceptional for Madrid. For the first 4 years,
Yes.
he was brilliant for Arsenal as well. And in the
Brilliant
last
for
3 years,
Arsenal as well.
there was a steady
The,
decline.
exactly. Yes.
And again, you know, given us tons of good memories, but the biggest one that I feel was bringing him on. And like you said, the day Arsene Wenger
Yeah.
brought him on, it was like a start of a new era where we
New
started
era.
believing that yes,
Eh,
we are back in the transfer market.
Yes.
Yes, we
Exactly.
are going to begin, investing in big players again.
Yeah.
So more than the contribution, it was the self-belief that we had that yes, our management is actually listening to us.
Yes. Yeah. And one of the things was that season that we signed him in 2013, 2014. Arsenal didn't. I mean, we had a very good squad. Don't get me wrong, but we were not a title squad, to be honest. We were a team that still lacked a couple of players. And that season we were not looking at a creative player. We were looking more at a striker. Like that was the season where we went after Higuain and we went after Suarez. And our only other striking options was Giroud and maybe Walcott. Giroud was basically the only striker, like proper center forward we had, and that is the reason why we kept Bettner in the squad. So, but you get in Ozil, he changed the mentality of the team. I remember that 2014 season, there were some games which Arsenal stepped on the pitch and you knew that at least the first half of the season, Arsenal stepped on the pitch and you knew that we were getting 3 points because he changed the way the team was itself. The team, I'm not saying the team was still playing wonderful football, and he just took that level above. His presence on the pitch automatically translated and transmitted to the energy transmitted to everybody, and he was really, really good. He changed everything at that. So it's kind of like a cycle that it's he started an era, definitely, and we had not won for 9 years, and it's no coincidence that the season that he comes in that we won our first FA Cup after a long time. So yeah, I mean,
And
he definitely had a
absolutely. And so, it will be unfair for me to say that other players around him started pulling their weights up because if you
yes,
look at just sheer numbers and sheer skill set, I think Santi Cazorla was, with the ball, he can offer a lot more than what Ozil can. I mean, he can offer 8 out of 10 going forward and maybe a 6 out
yes,
of 10 coming back. But
coming
with
back,
Ozil,
exactly, yes,
you could see somebody like Santi coming in and offering you 9 out of 10 as well.
yeah,
And
yes,
I mean, it would be unfair for Santi Cazorla to say that Ozil was the one who actually upped his game. It could
exactly.
be
It's just
a
it could be
combination
a
of both of
yeah,
them bringing the best out of each other.
exactly, yes,
But
and another
it definitely
and
happened with Sanchez. When Sanchez
yes,
was brought on,
exactly,
we actually saw a difference in the midfield. The two of the
yeah,
best players stepping up and bringing themselves up at times just
yeah,
to, they were
exactly.
instrumental in creating so many games.
Yeah,
But
and in games where say there was a deadlock or nothing was working out, I'm not saying that if there was, I'm not sure how far this is true, but maybe I might have to refresh the stats. The stats of Ozil and assisting Sanchez apparently are not very high as what we, but it's not about the assisting part. It's the way they combined in the build up and stuff that way. The way they had that kind of a connection itself was something special, and those two ran the team in 14, 15, 15, 16, or maybe even 16, 17, you can say to something. But it was wonderful to watch. Those were the two players who really, really made, for the first time in a long time made Arsenal, like, you could say that they were title challengers during that phase. So yeah, that is why I always say, like, one thing what has really always let us down has been the club's handling of some players. Had they, like, you very well knew, like, if we come back to this point, okay, like, what I mentioned before, Sanchez wanted to leave at the start of the 17-18 season itself, and we had even accepted a bid from City at the very very last minute, and then we couldn't get a replacement, so we this thing, and then we didn't sell him, and then we waited for another 6 months. Now look at the same situation wherein we let Sanchez go at the start of 17-18. You get a chance to maybe reinvest that, with that money you bring in a quality per player, and then maybe you could have let Ozil go in January, you know but then the club's management was, I mean, I know that would have still been an outrageous situation to lose two top players within 6 months, but it would have been better than losing two players together in 6 months, which is what cost us the entire thing in the first place. So again, I blame the club a lot for this, but then the way some things have ended up happening, it's like, especially what they say during the lockdown period, what has happened, none of us know yet. It's all speculation, but let me put it this way: it's not one person's fault. The club as well as Ozil have a hand in this, and I don't want to blame one person, either the club or Ozil. They both definitely, there is something that has gone on.
Absolutely. And also, if you look at it now, we look at it from an Arsenal fans perspective. But if
Yeah,
you look at it from German fans perspective as well, he made some tall claims about racism existing in
yeah,
Germany, and there was nothing to back it up. And yes, I'm not declining that racism does not exist in Germany. Yes, it
yeah,
does. But the first one to come in and vocalize it or make,
yeah,
make big news, and Ozil, British media, we all know that British media pretty much dominates, most of
yeah,
Europe. So
yeah,
somebody like a mediocre talent like I mean, I wouldn't say mediocre when it comes to David Beckham, but David Beckham was average midfielder. From spot kicks he was exceptional, but because
yeah,
he was a British football player, he was blown out of proportion. So
yeah. His
British
brand was
media
very,
had a lot to do with Ozil as well, where they glorified him beyond bounds. And then all the newspapers were about Ozil being racially abused,
yeah,
Ozil having Turkish roots being a reason for being racially abused. Ozil does not help his cause by having pictures of the Turkish Prime Minister and him sitting
yeah,
together and sipping a cup of coffee. That does not help his cause either.
yeah.
So I think somewhere deep down, his political involvement has also been a reason
It
why he has stayed in the limelight.
Yes, I mean, see, it's quite an obvious thing that he was targeted. There is no doubt about it, because, as they say, he as well as Gundogan had were targeted amongst everyone else. And if you go to see in that World Cup, 2018 World Cup, Ozil, okay, he didn't have an assist or whatever, maybe that way, but in that game that they lost against, I guess, South Korea, which knocked them out, he created three really, really good chances which were missed by the team. But then he was the one who they found as a scapegoat. And why was he the scapegoat? Probably because of his political connection. So maybe, like, whether you call it whatever, it was not right on his part also. But then he, Ozil being Ozil, was definitely going to be vocal about it. And there is this quote which Arsene Wenger has said, that the moment a player retires early from his international team, he doesn't have anything to look forward to as playing in the next World Cup or playing in the next Euros. That automatically decreases your motivation level. And you never know, maybe you don't know how much has that played an influence, like, he's on 350. See, again, even I myself am bringing up that topic, that he's on 350K a week. He's on a long-term contract at Arsenal, so that if he has to go, he will get a huge payout. At the same time, he knows it's his last big contract, and he doesn't have to worry about playing for the national team, so that even if his performance drops, it's just a human this thing, that his motivation must have not been there. So there are factors that way, which, yeah, there is a lot. I mean, I'm telling you, when Ozil ever decides to write a book, it's, as long as he doesn't behave like Arsene Wenger. Because if you have read Arsene Wenger's book, he's not pulled any punches. He's not made it controversy. It's a very light-hearted book that way. He's not, like a lot of people expected some fiery opinions and stuff. Nothing of that sort. But if Ozil goes to ever write a book, I'm telling you, it's going to be one which will raise a lot of eyebrows for sure. Like, he'll definitely
I
open up
am
a,
absolutely there with you. I mean,
yeah,
if Ozil does write his book, what I would
yeah,
like to find out about his book is he always calls it a back spasm. And when
yes,
he's dropped
oh
out of the
yes,
games or something, I don't know how much truth is there to it. but everybody considers all the managers have said he has a back spasm and he's sitting out. And
Yeah.
all of a sudden, Ozil has traveled with the team, but suddenly he has a back spasm and he's sitting out.
Yeah, and
I
then he's
would
back
like
for
to
the
find
next.
out the truth behind all that.
Yes, yeah.
So for
And
me,
yeah,
Ozil's quality has never been a question. His consistency
yeah.
is.
Is consistency, definitely.
And
And obviously the second part also in terms of consistency is the game changed. You cannot help it, the game has changed. Like, now Arsenal are currently playing with Smith Rowe. I'm not saying Smith Rowe is the end product, but what Smith Rowe brings that Ozil doesn't bring, Smith Rowe has a lot more energy to track back and stuff. And as we discussed, you don't expect, I wouldn't expect Ozil to do that because he's not that kind of a player. But it is what it is, the requirement of the modern game, and that is where probably he was left behind, in terms of lack of quality, that not lack of quality, but just adapting to that, and through not his fault as such, but yeah.
but so to end it, let's just say that okay, if the fans were divided with the Ozil saga over the past, I don't know, 3 years or so
Yeah,
now I think it will be a good time that the team actually comes together and we actually start
comes together.
backing Arteta. So now maybe people
Yes.
will see that there's nobody, no big figure in the dressing room, and probably everybody will start getting behind Arteta now and
Yes, yeah.
backing the team
I
again.
think, yeah, in terms of fans, I think that will still divide because the people who supported Ozil fully will start to question the decisions further. That, now that Ozil is gone and you're still not doing. But yeah, as a team, we are getting rid of, not getting, yeah, like Kolasinac is gone already. Ozil is going. Socrates is most likely going to leave, and probably Mustafi maybe. And these are four players who are a good team. Who are a good, who are supposedly good friends together. So yeah, so now it is something that it's definitely an end of an era with the Ozil leaving. Now it's up to the club to build around this. Like now the ball is in the club's court. Like
So
you guys have
let
to.
me ask you this last question.
Yes.
I know the word legend is loosely thrown around, but Ozil,
Yeah.
do you think he's a club legend?
This is, I wouldn't say a legend maybe because to be honest, people were even the same argument was there with regards to Aaron Ramsey last year. For me, it's just that the term legend. I used to personally term Cesc Fabregas and Van Persie as legends, but now that I've reached a particular stage, I wouldn't even call them legends. I would call them great players at the Emirates era, but I would not. So same goes with Ozil. For me, I wouldn't say he's a legend as such, but yeah, the fact that he's won 4 trophies at Arsenal, but I think for me personally, the legend term doesn't come into picture because of the way the last 2 years have been. And the way it has been, all the off-field issues, that has been a put-off for me. That has been a massive, massive put-off.
I do
So
agree.
I would
I mean,
personally not go
but
with that
then,
term. But he's an Emirates great. That is for sure. He's
he is an
definitely,
Emirates great. And
yeah,
the contradiction that I bring here, throwing in the curveball here is, if that is the case, if trophies is what we judge a legend by, then a club
yeah.
like West Ham and Tottenham or somebody like that who have never won trophies, they will
Never
never have
exactly. Yeah,
legends.
exactly. Point.
So
Very
is
true.
it fair to say that just because the rest of the team cannot bring in a trophy, somebody like a Cazorla
Yes.
or Ozil cannot be termed as a legend?
True. True. That's very true. Yeah.
He has contributed to us.
He's
Maybe his
definitely
contribution didn't
contributed.
come into big games. Maybe his contribution didn't come into club finals or
Yeah.
finals. But 30 years back, when you look at the stats, the numbers won't lie. He was a big player
Yeah.
for us.
Eh,
Good he
He was.
left, but you know what? Let's
Yes.
just end that saga saying
Yeah.
he's gone. Wherever he is,
Yeah.
good luck to him.
Definitely. Definitely. Because and see, I just would like to put a final thing to this, a touch to this point. One thing is I've not been against Ozil as a player. Situations were such that I knew that it had to be come to an end. He was a fantastic player who provided us with a lot of memories, a lot of good memories, especially. And whenever he was on the pitch, it was usually a joy to watch him. He fantastic assists, fantastic. His off-field work has been brilliant in all the charities that he has done. He's a wonderful human being that way with what he has done. Yes, there were some other off-field issues, but the way he had the PR battles with Emery and with Arteta and with Arsenal, which were something that put, you know, as an Arsenal fan, I didn't want to see that drama, and that was primarily why I wanted it to end. But nonetheless, if you ask me again that, would you like to have these 7.5 years of Ozil, given you go back in time and you know how it is going to be, would you have it? I would say definitely yes. There's no
Yes,
taking it back.
absolutely.
Ozil he's a quality player, and really good luck to him. We will definitely miss him. He was an integral part of it, but it's time to move on. But all the best to him, and hope he does well in the rest of his career.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Well,
only one thing. One thing, though, I would just like to say, it would have been really nice for him. I mean, to have some kind of a proper send off at Arsenal. That is probably something which I'm a bit upset about. I would have liked him to have a good send off from the club that way.
absolutely.
That was, yeah,
Considering he's the senior most players and not many players actually stay for 7 years at the same club.
yeah,
So
yeah,
agreed. But oh
yes,
well, I guess that's it for us today. So guys, if you're watching it
yes,
for the first time, please do hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, share it out, give us a shout out. If you don't like the video, leave us feedback. We will be glad to improve on it. And that's all that I have. Final words, Elroy.
No, Kevin, I guess that's it. And hopefully, this brings the end of a long lasting chapter. And from now onwards, the discussions will be purely focused on Arsenal. And, hope that I really, because see, one thing is I support Arsenal for the football and for everything that is there. One thing I was tired of is the drama, and just, I don't want more drama. I just want them to focus on football. I want us to be talking about the quality of football. That's it. That's what I'm looking forward to now.
Sounds good. Thank you, sir. Thank you
Yeah.
for being
Thank
on the
you
show.
so much. Yeah. Sure. We shall catch up.